Hello, today I will be telling you something about my country, Philippines, which is the pearl of the Orient Sea. This is the flag of my country, and if you look at us in the map, you will be able to see this. Our country is divided into the islands of Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. We belong in the Southeast Asia. In terms of the topography, we have 7,107 islands here in my country. Whenever there is high tide, that number even becomes more. So I have more than 7,000 islands here in my country. We also have vast agricultural lands. And we have heritage areas. Heritage areas are legacies of the colonization of various races. But apart from that, at least to me, these heritage areas are signifiers of the strength and resilience of the Filipino who are able to withstand the pressure and actually the torture that colonization brings about. You will be able to see these heritage areas in Intramuros, Manila, and in Vigan, Ilocos Sur. And of course, a lot of the cities here in my country are slowly modernizing. On one hand, it will afford you all the conveniences that you will require if you came from a first world country. You will have access to electricity, access to water, you will have access to Wi Fi, although the Wi Fi is not that fast, but you will have access to it. There are a lot of hotels, and they could offer all the conveniences that you need. But it comes with a price, of course. But on the other hand, that also means that at the at the price of modernization, there are negative consequences. Like there are lots of uh, there are lots of people in cities. It is congested, and the traffic here in my country is the worst. So be prepared when you come here. You have to be extremely patient. The people here in my country, the people are usually brown eyed or black eyed, black haired, with brown complexion. The average height is 5 feet to 5'8" to 5'9". If they're 6 feet, that means it's most likely that one of their parents is a foreigner and the other is a Filipina. Filipinos like to smile, like this little boy in this picture, and the woman behind him. It also makes sense that the complexion of the Filipinos are mostly brown because we are surrounded by islands and we have vast agricultural lands. Most of our people are fishermen or farmers. They spend long time under the sun, and so therefore it caused their skin to turn brown. In fact, it is actually an advantage to be a brown colored person because it allows protection against the sun. We also have Muslim people living in Mindanao. Most of them are congregated in Mindanao, but we also have a lot of Muslim women in Manila and in other places of the country. We also have a lot of indigenous and ethnic tribes here in my country. Some of them are located in Baguio. These tribes belong to Aita, Manobo, Bagobo, Lumad. These tribes, these indigenous people are proof that even before the colonization, the Philippines already had civilizations. They already had ways of living. And these civilizations continue and persist until today. Lastly, we also have mixed people. When I say mixed people, that means because the Philippines has been colonized by a lot of races, and there are also a lot of people that came to settle down here in my country. There are a lot of us who are mixed race. So it is also usual to see half Filipino, half Chinese people. It is also usual to see half Filipino and half Caucasian looking people. This is Miss Catriona Gray, and she won the Miss Universe 2018. She's a mixed race Filipina, but she's a proud Filipina. In terms of food, the staple food of the Filipinos are rice, or in our language we call it bigas or kanin. The food that we have is rooted on the resources that are available in my country. Because we are a vast agricultural land, we have a vast agricultural land, definitely rice becomes a staple food, a necessary food. We eat it in the morning, we eat it at lunch, we eat it at dinner. In fact, we're so in love with rice that we even create snacks out of rice. So in our language, we call that merienda. Biko is a Filipino version of rice cake. Biko is sweet and we love eating it. My mother loves preparing biko during special circumstances, special occasions. And when it's my birthday, she would always cook biko. Champurrado is another snack that is made of rice. So, champurrado, we eat that in the morning. We put milk and viola. We now have our breakfast. Rice, because the country has a lot of rice fields. Apart from that, the other types of snacks are also products of nature. For example, turon. Turon is a snack that is made of banana. Buko pie is another snack that is made from the coconut. Continuing with what we call ulam or viands, these food are also sourced from nature. For example, a sinigang is a soup that is usually sour. It is sour. We usually put in seafood like shrimp or milkfish or bangus or even pork and chicken. And then we add vegetables. So the dish that we create is the ingredients that we use are sourced from nature. Similarly, the Filipino cuisine is also famous for using a lot of spices. We have calamansi, we have toyo, suka, we use sili, and we love putting that. Um, we love dipping our food into this. So this is also something that is very Filipino. And of course, because the country is a melting pot of cultures, we also adopted the cuisine of other countries. For example, adobo came from Spain. But the Filipinos had created it created an adobo that is only that can only be found here, so we make it our own. Similarly, pancit is originally from China, but here in the Philippines, we serve them, we cook them whenever there is special occasions. Unlike the version of the Chinese, ours is one that is filled with a lot of vegetables, and it wouldn't be complete without a calamansi. Calamansi is a small lime. So those are our food. There are three characteristics that distinguish it or define it. The first one is um, rice is our staple food. So all food must always have rice. The second is all of this, all the food that we create, all the snack that we create are sourced from nature's. Usually, the ingredients are fruits and vegetables that we can easily find in our country. Third, we do adopt the cuisine of other country, but we make it our own. We add a spin that fits with the palate, with the taste buds of the Filipino, and we make it our own. In terms of houses, in rural places, this is what you will see. This is how the rural house would look like, and you will still be able to freely roam around and be with nature. In fact, sometimes in our videos, you would be able to hear the tik tilaok and the ow 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 of the dogs and the cats. However, um, the quality of life has improved significantly. So, for the well to do people, for the middle class and the well off people, their house already look like this. Some even have mansions. But of course, not all of them are well off. And we still have a high poverty rate here in my country. And this is how their houses would look like. Celebrations. There are various celebrations here in my country. The first reason for having the celebrations is to thank the heavens for the resources that we have. So, for example, the tuna festival is celebrated to give thanks to the seafood tuna that allows this particular community to be sustainable. The Panagbenga festival in Baguio honors the flowers because this is the industry that is putting food in the tables of the local people. So the festivals are conducted to celebrate the natural resources that are making the people sustainable in certain community. The second reason for conducting festival is to celebrate the ethnic and indigenous part of our culture. So for example, this is the Ati-Atihan festival. When you see them, don't be afraid of them. They're not scary. In fact, you would have fun looking at these people. They will dance and they will make you feel happy. So the second reason for conducting festival is to celebrate the ethnic culture of the country. The third reason is to celebrate our religion. Philippines is a predominantly Catholic country, and so we have a lot of celebrations that are tied into the Roman Catholic celebrations. So this is the feast for Santo Niño. it honors the Santo Nino, the miracle of the Santo Nino, that despite the times, despite it being burned, the Santo Nino remains intact. And so that's why the people blackens their face to to commemorate that time when the Santo Nino was burnt, but the Santo Nino remains intact. And of course, there are people that are Muslims here in my country, and so we also celebrate their religious celebrations. For example, this is Eid al-Fitr. This is their celebration to end Eid al-Fitr. There are numerous languages here in my country. There are thousands and thousands of languages because it is an island. Therefore, it manages to create fragmented communities. And those fragmented communities create their own values, create their own code of living and ways of communication. And of course, language is part and parcel of that. The national language in the country is Filipino or Tagalog. For example, we would say magandang araw. In English, that's good morning. A lot of the Filipinos are fluent in English because English is part of the curriculum here in my country. We have been studying it since we were in grade 1. Secondly, we have been colonized by the Americans, and for a long time, English has been the signifier of intelligence and education. Of course, as a language teacher, I know that that's not true. All languages are equally important. And so, as much as Filipino and Tagalog and English are important, so as the other regional languages. For example, Bisaya, good morning in Bisaya is mayong adlaw, and in Ilocana, that's naimbag nga bigat. So these are some of the languages here in my country. In terms of values, I would like to highlight 3 values that Filipinos have passed down from one generation to another. The first one is helping each other out. And in our language, we call that bayanihan. You can see at the top picture, that is a tradition where in rural areas, whenever a person is moving a house, they will call their neighbors and ask their neighbors to help them move the house. That tradition still continues until now. And that tradition had various iterations. For example, because of the coming of the COVID-19, a lot of people had been affected. And so there are a lot of relief efforts that Filipinos have been doing until now in order to help each other out. So bayanihan is a big thing here in my country. You might have noticed that we have a history of struggle. We have a history of being conquered by powers that are that are stronger than us. And so the reason why we continue to persist is, one, is because of the resilience of people. Second, is because of our ability to reach out a helping hand. Of course, not everyone is helpful, so you need to be able to really get to know the people that you will trust. But most of the Filipinos are ready to help each other. The second one is respect. And this is one physical way of showing respect. To me, respect is something that comes from it's a two-way street. Usually, it's easier to gain the respect if you're worthy of being respected. So it's this respect, it is not automatically given. In fact, Filipino people are respectful. However, they demand or they ask that the people that are being respected should be worthy of being respected. And lastly, Filipinos are very hospitable. We like to welcome people. We have been we have been colonized. We have been entertaining people from all over the world. And so it had become commonplace for us to accept foreigners. In fact, it's common to see Filipino families or Filipino communities cooking, preparing a fiesta whenever there is someone who will visit the area. Uh, you will love the hospitality of the Filipinos because you will really feel that you're a king or a queen when you visit our houses. It has a dual function. One, of course, it boosts the tourism industry, and a lot of the Filipino families still depend on the tourism industry. And to me, if it's a decent job, go for it. Second, it just becomes human nature. It no, it's not human nature, but I think because the Filipino culture puts a lot of emphasis on it, it becomes ingrained in the psyche of the Filipinos. So hospitality is one of the three values that the Filipinos put a great emphasis on. All right. So these are the texts that I used for this presentation. And I thank these people, these artists. And so that's Philippines, the pearl of the Orient Sea, or in our language, Pilipinas, perlas ng silangan. Thank you so much. Maraming salamat. Have a good day. Bye!